right. I bet you haven't seen this room too often. A little bit of mood lighting. Massage table is all cleaned and ready to go. But you know what? This is kind of a weird mood lighting, so yeah, I'm going to turn on some lights and tell you what I want to talk about today. So, yes, I have a massage table in my house and I have a whole room set up for it. Sometimes I have a friend of mine who is also a trained massage therapist, and they'll come over, they'll kink out my back and get me relaxed, and then we'll switch roles another time, that kind of thing. And that person's having an awful hard time in school right now. It's like lab week. Yes, this is the person who's gone back to school. It's not an 18-year-old, everybody. So yes, somebody gone back for a new career altogether during the pandemic, but having a stressful week. So they're going to come over later on today, and I'll try and kink out some of those stress balls in the back and shoulder muscles. But it's been a weird day in a way yesterday. If you saw my other video today, well, you won't see it yet. This one will come out first. So yeah, you might see it on Cruising with Don. I had friends, I call them friends. We've never met. But when you're on YouTube and you're in a certain niche, so if you're a singer, you're making your original music, you're in that niche of singers. If you're a gamer, you're in that niche of fellow gamers, and you start to know everybody. You watch other people, you see what they're doing, you say, oh, can I improve on that, or should I make a comment on that? And oh, that's a good idea, good job there, that was a really good video, all that kind of thing. And one of our friends, a few months back, came down really, really sick. And he's a fairly young man. So, much younger than I am, with him and his wife. Their name, it's Sean and Steph. I'll leave a link to their channel down below if you want to check it out. But he has been struggling with cancer for a few months now. And about 2 weeks ago, they released a video, or 3 weeks, on an update saying how the treatments haven't been going as good as they could be, and Sean's feeling weaker. And I watched that video, and I could see from my own experiences, as somebody who's gone through cancer 3 times in the last 5 years, multiple surgeries, not so much how I was handling things, and I've been through that whole losing your hair and going really, really thin and really, really blotchy all over your face and looking like a ghost, and I've done all that, but at no point did I ever feel like it wasn't for the better, if you know what I mean. I never had that discouragement of things aren't going well. Things were always going well. I might have lost my hair, but my cancer was shrinking. All that kind of stuff. And when I watched that video, it just hit back to me. Some other fellows that were going through the same thing. While when you're in chemo, you run into the same people, because you tend to be scheduled around the same time every month to go in for your chemo, or every 2 weeks, and so would they be. So I started to know a few people that way, and all of a sudden I knew some people's treatments weren't done, because I've had the conversations with them, and they would no longer be there, and I would ask the nurse, and then they would say, yeah, they took a bad turn, they're in the emergency, they're in ICU, and it's not looking good, and it just hits you how lucky I was going through that. I remember back to my very first surgery, and my doctor said there's about, a 60-40 chance that I'm not going to get up from the table. Never told my kids this, never told my nephews or family that. Didn't want to put that burden on them, but I had that burden going into the surgery. And then I came out of surgery, and that was probably the worst surgery I had. Not because of how it went. The surgery went beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But they accidentally brought me food when I came out of my surgery for dinner that night. And me not knowing anything, I felt pretty good actually, and I started eating. I wasn't supposed to have solid food for another 3 or 4 days. And it just reacted terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I had all this black liquid building up in my stomach, and they ended up putting that tube down your nose into your stomach that drained you. And it had to go in a couple different times, and they don't freeze you, they don't do nothing, they just slink this tube down. It was horrible feeling. I ended up being there like 14 days with that tube down my throat to get my stomach back to normal, and I could barely move. I was literally like this, because every time I moved I would feel like this. I would feel like sick to my stomach. And then I so remember, by that time, my face had grown right out with a beard. My hair was all like not washed in 2 weeks. It just I must have looked monstrously horrible. Let's just put it that way. I had my friends from work and family come and visit me. I could hardly talk to them. I basically wanted them to leave because I was trying to talk to them, but that tube down your throat and everything just makes you want to be sick. And so I felt really, really bad, and I was tired all the time. But then when that tube, like I was feeling like this, like this, that tube came out of my nose on the 14th day, and I instantly felt 100%. Literally felt instantly 100%. And I said to the nurses, okay, I have to wash my hair, I have to wash my body, I have to shave. And they went and found these disposable single blade razors. And they found like 15 of them. And I went in and I shaved this thick, thick, thick beard with 15 single blade disposable razors. And I came out and I was in the room and I washed my hair and I felt so good. Felt so good. And I sat down in the chair beside my bed, and I put on my own clothes. I didn't have to stay in the hospital gown anymore. I was able to put on some normal clothes. And after about an hour, my nurse came back in and she looked at me and she said, where's Mr. Terrace? And I looked at her and said, well, I'm here. She said, oh my God, you look different. I looked night and day. You did not recognize me from when I got that tube out an hour earlier to what I looked like at that point. And I think it was at that point I realized, things are going to look up. Things are going to get better. Now I've had 2 surgeries since then, gone through them with no problem. 5 surgeries since then, gone through them with no problem. That was the only one that I ever had an issue with, and it was only because somebody made the mistake of giving me food when I wasn't supposed to have food. It just happened to be the very first surgery, and probably the scariest surgery. And I can kind of think back to that time when I looked like that. I was feeling my worst. And when I saw Sean in his update video, it struck to me exactly the same thing, that I can see in his eyes that he's struggling. I can see in his demeanor that he's struggling. And I went to myself, this is not going to be a happy ending soon. That was 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, Sean passed away on Saturday. And all my condolences to Steph and the family. And all the friends, and I know it's going to hit, it hits the YouTube cruising community pretty hard, for the people who are friends and look out for each other, like us fellow YouTubers. Like if anything happened to Tony or Jenny or Emma in the UK, it would devastate me. And I've never, well, other than Tony and Jenny, I've never met Emma, but we've talked and we watch each other's videos and we keep track. And I know Emma just did a live stream for her birthday, and she did a fundraiser for Sean and Steph. And it's going to hit her pretty hard as well. But I just have to say that, we got to remember that not everybody gets a happy ending. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for that. You should never just give up. You should always fight. I went through all my treatments and everything, and that was the number one thing on my mind. Never, ever give up. Not giving up. And I was a loner. You can ask my family. I went to all my surgeries by myself. I went to all my chemo treatments and radiation by myself. I did not want to burden the family. But that was my mind, and that was me saying, I'm taking control of the situation. I'm taking control of my life. And I was fortunately enough, they caught the cancer late, but the surgeries and the chemo and everything worked. And it doesn't always work for everybody. And I was so rooting for Sean and Steph. And I just wanted to say to them, I'm extremely sorry. But Steph, you have all those amazing memories with Sean. And you'll always have those. And try not to dwell on the past few months where things were struggling. Try and remember all those happy cruises and those adventures you two got to share together. And many people much older than you never get to experience those things with their loved one. One day I'll tell you about my dad, and how he always had this dream and it never happened. So the very first chance I had, I did the dream for him, kind of thing. So I'll tell you about that story another time. In the meantime, Sean, Steph, Steph, please, if you ever need anything, please feel free to reach out. If you even just need an ear to bend on, talk to. Anyone out there in the cruising community will gladly help out in any way we can. And I just wanted to bring it. Like I said, I'll leave their information down below. And in the meantime, guys, just remember, just stay vigilant, stay strong, and always remember the good times. Because the good times far, far outweigh any bad times in the future.